Hey guys, this is Naresh. So in today's video, we will learn about one very important topic, which is called Git, or you can say GitHub. Okay, so we will know what is Git, what is GitHub, what is source code management. All right. So before we start this, I just want to say that this is one of the most important topic when we are doing coding of any kind. It can be coding for a Selenium project or any other APM project or API project, or it can be your development on the Android, your development on web or on server. Okay. So for any development which you do, it is very important that you know the Git and GitHub and these kinds of source management in and out, because you will have to work with them on the daily basis on the actual projects. And if you don't know about this, you will get many difficulties while doing work on your client, on your projects. Okay, so there's no second out. We have to learn this. So now start with Git and GitHub. So what are they? So they are the source code management. Let's say you have some code, okay, and you are writing that code in some Java files, and you have to manage that code, that how you want to save that, how you want to place it somewhere so that other people can use it. So that is called a source code management. Okay, let me try to make you understand with one flowchart. So here I will draw a flowchart to make you understand the architecture. Okay, so what happened? Let's say you have your own system on which you're working. Okay, and in that you have some Selenium project. Okay, and in that Selenium project you have certain files like home.java. Okay, and you have some file like signin.java. Okay, it can be a page object or it can be a test. So you have all these files on which you're working. Okay, so you have made some changes here. All right, now let's say that you have another colleague who is also working on this home.java. Okay, so let me just home.java file. Okay, so first of all, you are working on home.java, your colleague is also working on home.java. Okay, so you have example, there are three lines of code in your home.java. Okay, let me just make it here like three. Okay, so there are three line of code in your page home.java. Your colleague has made some changes and he has added one more line of code. Okay, so in total there are four line of code on home.java, but when you are making the changes you can only see three line of code, and your friend is making the changes, he has added one more line of code. Okay, but still your friend or your colleague computer PC in the Eclipse only has one line of code and you have three line of code. So at the end we want to merge these two codes. Okay, so one way of doing it manually, that you can tell your colleague to, send you that one line of code through some way, through an email, and you can just attach that one line of code here, right, in your file. But that's not a proper way to do that. For this work, we have a code management. And how it work, let me just give you its architecture. Okay, so what happened that there is a central server. Okay, and this is your own computer and this is your colleague computer. Okay, let me just move this down. Okay, so this is a central server, this is your computer, this is your colleague computer. Now what happened initially, when we write the code, we go ahead and merge our code here on the central server. Okay, so let me just make this. Okay, so let's say you have written some code and you push your code on this central server, and whenever we push that code, there is a revision number because this server maintains a history. Okay, so let's say you have pushed the code which is v1. All right, now what will happen, let's say your colleague, let me just write the name, it's user 1 and it's user 2. Okay, so whenever a user 2 want to write some line of code, what he will do, he will try to pull this v1 version. Okay, so he will pull this v1 version. All right, and now he will start working on this v1 version on his computer. Okay, and once he is done, after that he will again push his code back to this server. Okay, and just make it first. Okay, all right, so when he push his code back, now the version number would be v2. Okay, now the version number would be v2. So your colleague has a version of v2 which he has pushed, and colleague 1 still have the version v1. Okay, which he has pushed earlier. Now let's assume now user 1 want to again write onto some file, but if you see user 1 still have the version v1. It does not have the version v2 and the latest version is v2. So this user will again pull from this server. Okay, he will again pull from the server, and this time the version which comes up would be v2. Okay, all right, now here you will see that he will get the v2 version also. All right, so how this all work happen, because this is the way we have to manage our code. All right, but how this work happen, like pushing and pulling the code from server to some computer, this happen through Git. Okay, so Git is called a source code management. What happened that this server is called the Git server. Okay, let me just write it. It is called Git server. All right. Okay, so there are many Git servers available in the market. So Git server can be of many types. So it's not just one Git server. There are many Git server available in the market. So for example, there is a Git server called GitHub. All right. It's GitHub, which is the most popular server for the open source code. Okay, it's the code which can be used by many people and which is open. There are no charges. Anybody can use that code. Mostly those are put in the GitHub in the market. Okay, and another common server is Bitbucket. Okay, let me just write Bitbucket. Okay. All right, so the another server is Bitbucket. So there are many servers available in the market. So if we get a working knowledge with one server, that is equivalent to get the working knowledge of all the other server. Okay, so this is how the Git works. Okay, and Git is called the distributed system. Okay, so Git is a distributed system. All right, now just like Git, there is one more way to control the source code. Okay, and those are called the centralized system. They are not the distributed system, they are the centralized system. Means there are some servers, and those servers are like SVN. So one of the centralized system is SVN. So instead of using GitHub or Bitbucket, you can even use SVN. Okay, now to interact with the Git server, there is a Git client which is needed. It can be a Git client or it can be a SVN client. Okay, so for that, there's a Git client. Okay, it called as Git client. All right, now this is a software which we need to install in our computer. All right, now there is for SVN also, there is a Git client. Let's say if somebody is using SVN, then there is a Git client which is called SVN tortoise. Okay, so it might possible that in the company which you're working, either they are using this SVN tortoise as a Git client and SVN server, or they may be using the Git with the Git client and the Git server. And Git server can be on the GitHub, Bitbucket, or there are many other websites which provide these kinds of services. Okay, so what is GitHub? GitHub is nothing but a website. Okay, GitHub is nothing but a website, and it provides various services to us. So one is it provides the services of source code management. Okay, and it provides the service of task management. Okay, and it also provides the service to report the defects. Okay, so these are all the services which is provided to us by the GitHub. Okay, so these are all the services which is provided by GitHub to us. So for managing any code, we have to use this Git server, and we can push and pull from this Git server to our client. So this is the way we can do our uh, source code management. Now let's look at this architecture in more detail way. Okay, if you want, you can just take a screenshot because I'm deleting this one right now. Okay, all right. Now see, how does it work? So let me show you how does it work. So let's say it is my Git server. All right. Now in my machine, let's say this is my machine. Okay. In my machine, there are two parts. Okay. Okay. And the Git server. So there is one which is called my local repository. I will call it as local repo. Okay. And then there is something which is called working directory. All right. And on server, there is something called, let me call it remote. Okay, remote repository. Okay. So what this repository is, so in Git, there is a concept of repository. Okay. So whatever changes which you make in your code, let's say I have make a changes in home.java file. Okay. So whatever change you make in any of the file, that goes into your working directory first. Okay. And once we are done with those changes, what you do, you commit your changes. Okay. So when you commit your changes, it goes into local repository. Okay. So this is the way how Git works. It goes into your local repository. All right. So every day you come, you do some changes to the home.java, and once you are done with that, you commit into your local repository. Okay, so what happened after that? Once you commit to a local repository, you have to upload your code onto the server so that if other people are trying to make some changes into the file home.java, first they will download this code. So what you will do, like after 2 to 3 days, once you are done with home.java, and you have tested that all your test is working fine, and because you are committing it every day, so in the 3 days there are three commits which has been done. Okay, so let me just write it here. So it's like commit 1, commit 2, commit 3. Okay, so in the local repository you have done three commits. All right. Okay, so every day you are making some changes in home.java, and at the end of the day, you are making some changes into this commit 1, commit 2, commit 3. 3 days you have make the changes, and now you are satisfied that everything is working fine, all the test cases are running for you. Now, what you need to do, you need to go ahead and push this code onto the server. Okay, so what you will do, you will push this code onto the server. Now what will happen when you push this code onto the server, all these commit will go onto your server. Okay, like this, commit 1, commit 2, commit 3, and there will be some version number given to it. So assume the version number is v1. Okay, All right, let me just move this inside. Okay, so now the V1 version has been committed. Now let's assume your colleague is there who want to work on this file home.java. Then what he will do, he will go ahead and download this version onto his computer. Okay, and now he will start working on that. And on his computer also there are two directories like before. One is the local repository and one is the working directory. So let me just copy the same thing. It's local repository. Okay, and a working directory. Okay, and here also he will is working on the home.java. All right, and every day he will also commit the same. He will go ahead and on 3 days continuously he worked and he will commit the same. Okay, so as soon as he finish his work, he will go ahead and again push his version here. So that will be the V2 version which he will push. Okay, so he will push the V2 version. Okay, so this is the way our Git will work. Right now we are seeing that how this is working on the paper, on the flowcharts, but soon we will see on the Eclipse how this can be done. And it is very important to understand that we need to work with this kind of a source code management on the daily basis and how you do that. So if I show you the actual steps, there's one more step I want to show you before I end this session here. Let's say, let me just remove all this. Okay, so what happened that before your code is merged into this, I want to let you know that there is something called branches. Okay, so what happened on this server, you are given some space. Okay, on this server, you are given some space by this company who has this server, Git server. They give you some space on this server. Okay, on this space you have certain files like home page and the other files which you have. Okay, now what we do, onto that space they create a branch for you. Okay, they create a branch for you, and the initial branch which they create is called the master branch. Okay, let me call it master. All right, so they create a blank master branch for you. So whenever you commit your code, like a v1 is a version which have committed that code, that goes into master. Okay, and from the master branch we create different branches. Okay, and it's up to your company that on basis of what they create a different branches. Sometimes some companies create the branches on the basis of the feature they are working. Okay, so they create the master branch and they create the feature branch on the basis of the functions or the functionality. Let's say they have created a branch which is called home. Okay, or they create a branch on the basis of release. Okay, it's release 1, they have created one branch, and they have created another branch which is called release 2. So it all depends that what's the strategy of your company is on the basis of we can create a feature branch. So normally on the Git server, they provide us some space which provides the default master branch. The first commit goes here as v1, as v1. Okay, and then there is a release branches which is created. Okay, so what happens that first time when you will see, you will have something a v1 branch at the master. And let's say if you want to, if you're working on the release 1, then you create this branch by yourself. So you create a release branch for you, and it can be a different name also. It can be maybe for one page you are making a branch. Instead of the release, you are trying to do some changes for the home page. So for the home page we create a branch. So I will write here home. Okay, so for home page you are creating a branch, and once the branch is created, it will copy everything whatever is there in master to the home. So here it will again have v1 branch, I mean the v1 version. So now master copy of V1 is the same one which is in the home. So both are containing the same file. Now, whatever the communication which you will do from your local repository, you will do up to here. You will not touch anything into the master. You will do up to the home branch. Okay. And when you do up to the home branch, in order to save it into the master, because everything we want to go into the master, right? So at at this point, okay, at this point, so there is a restriction which we can set on our Git repository, that I want my lead to review that. Okay. So once you upload your code onto this branch, okay, on the home branch, I want my lead to review that. Okay. And how it is done? By raising PR. So you have to raise a PR here. Okay. So this is a step which is done. Let's say that you have a Git repository, okay, onto the Git server. They provide you some space with the master branch, and in master branch you already have the version v1. Okay. So initially what you do, that you download this v1 version here. Okay. And you create a branch. You can create the branch from the server also, from the GitHub website also, or you can create the branch locally also, and then you push that branch. So you push that home branch. Okay. And now you want your lead to review that whatever your code has been written is correct or not. So at this point you will raise a PR. So on the website itself there is a link called raise PR, which is called a pull request. You will raise a PR, and once you do that, an email will go to your lead. Okay. An email will go to your lead which will show you what are the changes which you have done. Your lead will go ahead, review that and approve it, and as soon as your lead review, after that all the changes goes back to master. Okay. So this is how in actual world all the code is submitted to a master. We do not do anything with the master directly. We do not want to touch anything into the master directly. We want to do, once my PR is approved, then it goes to the master. And this is the same way which is adopted in every project. It's not just about Selenium. Any project which you will see, there is a PR raised in between so that it goes to the master. Okay, so this is the architecture how the Git works. Now in the Eclipse, we will see how we do it practically. All right, if you like the video, please hit on the like button and share with other friends of yours. All right, thank you.